Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Fangirlz Assemble. We are live all the way from US, and today, actually, an international guest all the way from Jakarta, Indonesia, Ariela Kristantina. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you all doing?
Doing excellent. So Ariella is the artist for Insects, which she co-created with Margaret Bennett, and also a million others, lovely, wonderful covers and interior art of Matahari as well. And she will be joining us today for one other fun-filled chat. But before we get to that going, Maddie, Kristan, how are you all doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
Yay! And do you want us to start off with where people can go and find wonderful work by Ariella? Which website that they can go?
That'll be instocktrades.com, where they're currently also having a DC sale, an extra 3% off.
Ooh! And what's the usual sales goes for?
Up to 42% off, 50% off for the deals of the week, which we will eventually have another one soon, so stay tuned for that. If you order over $50, you get free shipping, and that is the best. Because no one has to pay for shipping.
That's wonderful. And you can also find all of Ariella's work over there as well, because she your like the Boom, the Dark Horse, Marvel, everything you can find up to 42 to 50% off. So with that out of the way, Ariella, how are you doing?
Good. Just working.
I can see that. We actually have your another screen on here, which you're going to show us your work progression on some of the things. And one of them is actually a commission that you're doing for me.
Does it look okay? It looks kind of...
it'll get there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Indonesian internet speed is not a dream.
Oh, yeah.
What did you commission, Fariha? I didn't get a chance to ask you.
Oh, it's actually going to be a super trio of Black Widow, Elektra, and Batwoman.
Ooh.
And I said that make it all red.
A badass ladies trio.
Yes, yes. So we are actually working on that. But before we get started, Ariella, tell us about yourself. How did you start it in the wonderful cutthroat world of comic?
Ooh, I am actually self-taught in Jakarta. Until I get to SCAT in 2011. So I started drawing, I think pretty young, around age of 8 or 9. I just keep drawing, got myself, self-published in Indonesia, in Jakarta. And around 2005, worked with several publishers as well, and then got some exhibition going, and then I went to SCAT in 2011.
Wow. So before we were starting the broadcast, you were talking about like the comic industry in Jakarta. So how is that compared to, because when we talk about Asian comics, we only talk about manga. Like that's the only thing like major 99% people will know. So tell us a little bit about Indonesian comic book industry.
Well, we do have manga too here. Well, basically, manga is just comic, right? So, manga from Japan was big here in the 90s. Is still big until now, and that's actually the first unquote style that I did for the biggest chunk of my life. And we also have indie comic here. Indie as in everything else that is not American style, that is not Japanese style.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think we have a lot of influence over here. We also have people who draw like European comic style as well.
So, like, is there any that we would know? Like, is there any that people, Western readers will know?
I don't know though. Like, I think Americans can never see them because they're never imported. Mm-hmm. Unless right now, you go to Webtoon or you go to the Nib or Line, and literally, if you know anybody from Indonesia who does comic and put it here, then you can see it.
Right.
So what kind of stories they usually focus on? I'm not all about this Indonesian comic thing, guys. Like
everything. aside from like I said, we have influence from Japan, we have influence from America. So we do both style, like Japanese style, like story wise it could be anything, right? From both sides. We do superhero, but we also have wayang. Wayang, how do I explain wayang? That's hard. Okay, I did not prepare for that one. Wayang is a traditional. I will look dumb trying to explain that. But basically, it's like Mahabharata or Ramayana story, if you're familiar with that. No?
So I can speak to a little bit about this. This is more of the Hindu religion, like the grand. So it's kind of like you would say Norse mythology or Greek mythology, but set in Asia. Like, so it's more of a there's all these goddesses with gods and goddesses that has their grand adventure.
Let's put it that to simplify it. Yes, Mahabharata is its own story, so we just adapt them and then put it on visuals.
Okay,
right, and they actually they can be very visceral looking, because typically there's a lot going on in those stories, and the characters are very colorful. Like you have Durga with like 10 hands, and you know, so it can be very intricate and very interesting. So did you work with any of those?
No. like I said, growing up, I'm very manga minded. So I don't really get in touch with wayang or more local story.
Okay.
It's more like because also my parents, they just kept buying me manga. And in the 90s, there's some period when I was growing up. There's some period when Indonesian comic just died. They don't exist at all. They were big in the 50s and the 60s. And we borrowed some from American comic as well, because we have our local Spider-Man, we have our local Wonder Woman. They kind of remind me of them. Like if DC ever found out, that we're gonna get sued, but I mean it's local, so it's fine. And then after that, it went to a decline and it died. When it's gone, manga flooded the market. Like literally one book is probably like 3 cents. Yeah. And then you can every week a new one. Like it's super cheap and it's everywhere. It's very accessible. So that's what I grew up with. And then recently, I think 5 to 10 years ago, Indonesian comics start to like on the rise again. And we even have like exhibition in Europe recently. And then we got invited to Frankfurt Comic Book Fair as one of the special guests. And then I think next year it's in London, I think in January or February, I think we're going to get invited again. Indonesia as a country, not me personally, because I don't work in local industry. So it's hard for them to put me there, because like, so where are your books?
Yeah. So what were some of your, like, I mean, I know things change a lot as you get older and you get involved in as your art style grows, but what were some of your like influences early on, and like what are some of your influences now, like the artists that you kind of keep an eye on and look toward?
Let me see my paper over here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I prepared with the answers and everything.
I do. So when early on, what's it that number? Okay. So growing up, I was a fan of Hiroshi Uno. You know him? It's Captain Kidd. It's one of his comics.
Oh, Captain Kidd, that's the soccer one, right?
No.
No, Captain Kidd.
It's about a pirate.
Oh. No, I never read this, but I recognize the art style a lot, though.
It's back in the 70s, I guess, 70s or 80s, because Indonesia imported comics that is old enough, that is cheap, and I read it. So it was like way back in 70s, 80s. So it's Yukari Kawachi, Hiroshi Uno, Clamp is the most modern one, I think.
Yeah.
Takeshi Obata, the Death Note dude.
Oh, of course.
Definitely. And in English language, I think when I first went to SCAD, I really love and still love Jerome Pena, Rafael Albuquerque, Jock, Stuart Immonen, Bill Sienkiewicz. I think those are the thing that I read most are from them.
Okay. Right on.
Do you still read a lot of manga now?
No, I just don't read comics enough lately. But I still read Yotsuba.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I feel like I personally have to ask, because you keep mentioning SCAD. I went to Savannah for my honeymoon a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, it was the first time I'd been there, and it was just beautiful. I love the trees. Like, it was just a gorgeous city. Did you love it there? Like, did you have fun there?
Yes. Probably the best 3 years of my life.
That's awesome. I feel like everyone I saw was definitely there because they went to SCAD. Like, everyone's just a cool art like kid. Just like, you all look cooler than I do. It was really cool. And my husband's sister actually went to SCAD, so I hear about it all the time. And I'm like, man, I should have been cool. I should have had talent. I should have went.
Hey, you are cool, Kristan.
Thank you so
cool.
So how was the experience in SCAD though? Like, it just it was a 4-year curriculum, I'm assuming.
Actually, I'm taking my master's degree there, so it was 2 years experience, and then I stayed for another year until my OPT ran out. Right before it ran out, I got the first work there with Marvel. The school itself is a wonderful experience. Like, all the professors were so helpful. I will not be here if it's not because of them. It is an expensive school, I would say. Like, I got enough scholarship, and my parents helped me a lot, so I survived there. Like, we here in Indonesia don't have a good conversion rate at all.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my parents need to like work their ass off to send me there. So I'm very grateful that I got there.
So, but it was helpful in the end. Like, you get to meet, like you said, that you got your first Marvel work over there. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about? Like, how was the how did the whole process went? Because you were talking about that before we started, that sometimes it's the editor that approach you. Nowadays, it's the writer. So tell us a little bit about that process.
So when I first got my job, it was kind of weird because that year I was ready to flew back home. I went, I worked on an anthology for Soaring Penguin at that time. It's for a charity about World War I. And I worked with actually Matthew Rosenberg, who is now a writer in Marvel.
Right.
We were about to pitch his creator-owned work, and I got a few pages down, but it didn't really went anywhere. I think I was still working on it. And that month, I went to an event in SCAD called Editor's Day. Editor's Day is where editors came to SCAD, see your portfolio, give you critiques and feedbacks, and not necessarily as a job interview. It's not that at all. So it's done, and I think I talked to some people from Boom, and the editor, Eric Harburn, actually told me that Justin Jordan want to work with me, and I said, great, that's great news. And not so long after that, I think Mike Martz, who was still working in Marvel at that time, came to SCAD to review the program. And again, I think one of my professors showed my portfolio to him, and he wanted to set up a meeting, and I got my job.
Rest is history. So, so how does the work, and how does the process work between a writer and an artist? Because to me, it's always like we see the final product all the time, and we don't see the behind the scene work. So is it typically that you were given like a general, like, script, or it's like very specific and you have to make everything where it fits? How does that process work for you?
So usually when an editor came to me to offer the job, they already have the story and the summary and the descriptions. Like, are you interested? If we're interested, sign the contract and we're gonna work together. And the writer will send me character description and then the script. And after that, I will send him or send her the design, the concept art, and everything. Like, especially with creator environment like stuff also, and then we gonna exchange like photo reference. Especially we have like folders, just dump everything on it, like buildings, whatever equipment, whatever, everything that we need on a script. And I send them the thumbnails and they give me feedbacks. And usually when I send them thumbnails, it's the editor first who's gonna see it, and then they're gonna talk about it with the writers. And they have a group note and they send it back to me.
So does that work between independent and also big two, like Marvel as well? Because I would think that if it's independent, it's between writer and artist.
Not necessarily. It really depends. Like first, let's say Matahari. With Matahari, it's exactly the same process. Like, I got the script, I break it down to a layout. Like, this is from, I think, Wolverine 19. Break it down to a layout. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
Something
we can.
Like that.
No, we can see it in the other screen.
Oh, you can see it? Okay. This is what the editor will see, and then the writer will see. And then they will give me notes. So I was like, oh, this is not what I mean. This is not what I mean. Because, like with script, sometimes it doesn't always work the way it's written. Like, oh, this is too crowded. I need more space on this panel. Can the writer move the dialogue over here a little bit? And then we usually discuss about that. And this is when it happens.
Nice. So is that is it like you as an artist also get to decide where the dialogue box goes, or is it something the writer or editor does?
It's a thing that we unquote decide together. Like, since I'm the one who draw it, like, I think this panel will be too crowded. Like, I would suggest that you move the dialogue to the next, or you change the dialogue, or you trim it, or do you have, other suggestion how this panel is gonna go? And usually it's kind of, it shows better when it's drawn out. When it's just script, people just like, oh yeah, fit everything into it, it's fine. And then you draw it, I was like, no, they cannot. You cannot have 8 panels and everybody's talking and so everything is a group shot. That's right. Not gonna work, So it's more like a group decision. I will try my best to follow the script to the dot usually, but when it's not working, I cannot force it. It's like, help! Yeah. This is not gonna read well.
So that's interesting to learn more about how that works. Because I was thinking about that as I was reading through Matahari and Insects, because a lot of that, there's so much there's a historical time that it's put into, right? It's like almost like period pieces. And so I was like, well, how does she you have to make sure everything's like period accurate, right? And also fits whatever sort of themes going on, whether that's more of a fantasy type or more of a kind of alienish type. And so it's nice to know that you have like almost like a mood board, like a shared mood board, because as a photographer I do that with cosplayers. Like, I have like okay, we need to figure out what we're going to do, like we need to like mood board this up so we know kind of the general consensus. That's nice to know that that's how that goes. Sorry, Fariha, I didn't mean to like jump in.
No worries.
It's great. I mean, I think it's been done not only in comics. I work in graphic design before, and it's the same thing. Like, the art directors and then the designer will share the same mood board. Like, we want this sort of color palette, and we want this sort of like approach, and that's how things works. And I think for Insect especially, like most buildings that are there are actual buildings. Like we try to find like old paintings and everything else. Like what is that butcher? Like they found now I forgot the name. The dog guy. I think it's book 4 or something. It was an old butcher market, meat market thing. A meat market thing. If you Google it, there's the same place that I draw. That still exists until now.
Oh, nice! I didn't know about that. But yeah. So, like talk about like Marvel versus independent though. One thing that when it comes to like a big two, like especially with Marvel, like the characters have been there for a very long time, and so versus an independent, when it's something that you're creating first time, it's your own thing. So how do you kind of reconcile between that? Like when it's like you worked on Wolverine, like a lot of other artists worked on it. So how do you put your stamp on it?
Let me see. Well, I just try to draw it in my own style. No one in America has ever seen my work before, right? Before the Logan Legacy on, let's say that way. Like unless they go to shows and when I was still a student and they got commission from me, now they know. But most people haven't seen my work. So I want to make sure at first that people could identify me through a character they recognize without making drastic changes. That took the reader out of the story. It's like back in the day, like my inking is kind of weird. Like I think that's what people say a lot to me. It's like, your inking's weird. I was like, good. I'll take that as a compliment. So I just try to, it's harder with the known characters. It's harder. It's like all I can do is just draw it in my own style. But you have to follow the character sheet that they have.
Right. So do you actually get like, we none of us know how it works. Like, do you actually get like certain regulation that it has to be this way? Like Wolverine's height needs to be this way. You need to have this many amount of muscles on there. How does?
not that detailed, because not every artist I think draw like muscular things either. But we do have character sheets, like specific uniform that they're wearing, because they have tons of uniform, tons of like outfit. Like every era has a different outfit, right? So they usually provide us with character sheets. Like this is what we're using for this book. So it's not confusing. If they have to, they're gonna refer me to other books and just send me like a bunch of PDF. Like, look through these books, like this thick. Good. Homework.
When you're drawing Wolverine, like because he's been around forever, so many amazing artists have put him to the page. Like, did you feel like was that daunting to you? Were you like, oh no, I better not mess this up? Like, or were you just excited?
A little bit of both. Like, well, the first book that I did is the X-23, right? At that time, X-23, they kind of bring it back. They started to bring it back because Wolverine died. So my book, The Logan Legacy 2, is about X-23 going through her feelings or her anger or something like that. And well, right now they have the new X-23, but back then it's a new thing that they brought back. So I got a more leeway in that one, and I like drawing X-23 because she's so angry.
That is true. That is true. So do you see that your work being continued on, like things that you introduced in X-23 is still being continued on, or it was kind of like when the next artist gets it, they do their own thing and kind of forget about?
More of the later, because like I think every artist, like you said, they're gonna put their own stamp on it. So that's how it works, I think, with the big two, and that's why it's so dynamic. Because every artist will put their stamp on something, on unknown characters, and keep it fresh, I guess. You don't want to keep seeing X-23 from like 3 decades ago, or Wolverine from like since the 50s, right? It gets boring if nothing new is done.
So how do you see the progression of, comic book art style? Because clearly what worked back in like 40s is definitely not like now. Even the difference, I see difference between, I can always say that, oh, this was done in 90s versus like, after 90s. So
Right.
how do you kind of keep your own style up to date with that?
That's a good question. I think every artist is different. So my method is I try to follow as many artists as possible. Now that we have Instagram, it's good. Insta stalking. Like you have to keep your material up to date. And well, what I personally do is like I try a different style. I try a different medium. Like I've never touched ink wash before when I first started. When I did the Logan Legacy, it's mostly just black and white. And then I moved to insects and I started to introduce ink wash in my work. And then for Matahari, I started to introduce like old style rendering, like with lines and all that, hatching, like back in the Illustrator time, 1920s or 1930s, something like that. It's just something that I do to be relatable, like not too relatable, just make it fresh. Just do something different every time, and it will in time improve my drawings. I think that's my process though.
Nice.
But yeah, Insta talking, buy art book from a lot of different artists that is not in comic. Like I have Victor Halvachev here. Do you know him?
No.
I think I got this one from Kickstarter.
Ooh,
Looks awesome.
He's on Instagram as well. I like see how people do sketches, like different style, and he has tons of style in his book. So I just try to see what people do daily and see. He's one artist, but he has like 4 or 5 different styles already in every page that I open for you.
right.
And who else do I follow? Claire Wendlings as well. She keeps doing new stuff. And then this book, Eliza Ivanova. Do you know her?
No.
I think she's a concept artist in Pixar. Oh, I think I forgot. She's also on Facebook. I got this through Kickstarter as well. She does like doodles. This is doodles for her.
That's doodles.
Amazing doodles.
Yeah, that is not doodles for me. It's like that's hard work. But her gesture, the way she drew a gesture is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do you think that you'll ever do you have a goal at all to like one day be one of these people too that also has like your art book with your sketches, or
I know some people ask me if I ever want to print them, like because I have sketches on my Instagram, right?
Right.
But the thing, I don't usually scan them. It's just like photo by my phones. It's gonna be painful if I want to collect them, but hopefully, I'm talking to a friend of mine who is a graphic designer. Hopefully, she can help manage all that, and I could have my own art book or sketchbook at least.
I think that'd be great. I mean, there's such a market for that now. Like, I always feel like I go out of my way if I see one of my favorite artists at a con, if they have a book, and I always kind of hope that they do. It's always such a cool thing to have at home. Because basically, I mean, comics are, even if you don't like the story, are just art books. They're just art books for yourself.
That's true. Whenever you draw, you were mentioning sketches and it's just a picture of like what you're sketching. Do you do mostly traditional, or do you do a mixture of like traditional and digital? And do you have a preference?
I do mostly traditional, in a way that before it gets sent to the publishers, usually it's all traditional. I use Photoshop to clean up my thumbnails, to deal with the level, to make it, to help my colorists mostly so they don't die. And, so that's the extent of my digital touch for my stuff.
Is that like, do you know, is that rare? Like, because I just assume most people these days have to figure out how to draw digitally because so many people are doing it. It's just so, I guess, fast and easier for a lot of people.
It is fast and easier, I think, for a lot of people, but I think I'm just not used to it. I still see a lot of my friends doing it traditionally, though, especially when you go to conventions and they're doing commissions on the spot. Like, most of them are definitely still doing it traditionally.
That's awesome.
Do you color your own work, or you most of it are color artist? Like, how does that work? The relationship between, like, we talked about relationship between writer and the artist. So the artist to the color artist.
For the interior, I usually work with a colorist. Like, I don't have the patience to do pencils and then outline and then inking, and I have to look at it again to color it. I'm just like, no. Coloring interior page is hard because I don't know, I cannot explain it, but I think I am not there yet. I'm still like a zillion years away from that. I do watercolor for my covers, though.
Right. Well, your cover, because you just did a variant cover for the new Doctor Who comic, right?
Which looks awesome.
It was beautiful. Like, I think you did a great choice of colors for that, honestly. But I can also see why that must be so time intensive, because that cover was beautiful. And then I saw like a bit of your process on your website, but I was like, man, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, the color credit goes to Jessica Collin. Usually I don't mess with them, like the color palette, but for Doctor Who, because they have their own like rules for the clothing, obviously,
right?
And then telephone box, they already have the color. And I think for Jessica, at that time, I just like, I want the jellyfish to be like this, and I have like a specific. First, like, that's the jellyfish. I don't care what you do with the rest. That's the jellyfish. And then she would be like, cool, fine, whatever.
All right.
But now that you mention it, it's actually true. The color artists are very unsung hero of the comic industry, because color can make or break it, but we don't often talk about that. Like, we're just like talk about artist and the writer. But especially Jordie Bellaire, whenever she does the coloring, I can always tell. Or Elizabeth, I'm forgetting her last name. She does most of the Ed Brubaker work. Like, it's like you can always tell. And also, like, I'm forgetting her name too. The Silver Surfer, Allred. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I'm forgetting too.
Like Laura Allred.
Lord, yeah.
We are horrible people.
Like, I know, but her color is always like just always basic. Like, she's always working on basic colors most of the time. But I feel like that's why Mike Allred's art pop as much as it does, because of the coloring, and we never talk about that. So, but we're talking about covers and stuff. So, how does it work between working for a cover for a comic book versus the interior? Because cover, is it more added pressure because people are going to pick up a comic based on the cover? Which one you prefer? Like, which type of work you prefer?
I cannot say I prefer one over the other, because each has its own challenges. What's that sound?
Sorry.
Oh, nothing? Oh, okay. I heard like... Oh, okay. Never mind. I can take more time telling the story with interior, but with cover, I have seconds to grasp people's attention. That's the difference. But I want both to tell, story, cover, or especially interior, of course. But you know, I don't have preference. I like to work on both. It's just that with covers, especially other people's covers, that's when it gives me a little bit of anxiety. It's like it's terrible, and people won't pick it off the shelf, and it's my fault. So I usually insist, like, can I know the story? Can I read the script first, or can I see the previous books, or what do you like, things like that. And especially with Fearscape from Pulp Comics, I read the whole thing before I put down a sketch for them.
Oh, okay. So how do you select though? Like, how do you do that? Like, that you read the whole thing and like, okay, this is what I want everyone to see for them to pick up. Like, it just kind of comes to you, or it's another collaborative effort.
Let me see if I can show this. Is it? Ah! All right, I've got. Let me check. Oh, does it show? Okay.
Yep, it's showing pretty well.
So for this one, usually the editor told me what's important in the book. Like, oh, there's this tree figure, there's this tiger, and there's something else, blah blah blah. And I read the whole issue for that one. It's like, oh, this makes sense. So I try again, just like what I did with the script. Like, I try to capture what they want to see first, and then I edit what I want to see. If I'm standing, in front of the shelves looking at this book, like what I want to see, like what will make me grab the book off the shelves. So I added that. So I usually come up with several designs. Like this one is still in pencils because I don't know, there's something on it that I was like, this is not gonna work, so I just leave it. I just send the whole 3 to them, and they will give me either notes, or they're gonna pick one. It's like, oh, what about moving this, moving that? Or like for this example, I think they like number 2, and I just go on with that. There's no notes. We like number 2. So, okay, cool. So from there, I go to this.
Right.
This is a more elaborate because that one is just a thumbnail, and this one is more like pencils, unquote. It's like I ink my pencil, so this is actually what I call outline. Everything is ready, just not for color. I only draw this one person because I copy next. It's the same thing anyway. So after that, I re-inked it. This is the final pencils. I printed backwards, like on the opposite direction, because what I did, and I'm gonna put it on the light box that you saw earlier. This is not gonna be on now. How are you doing? There you go. Oh. So the light box will turn on, and I just put it like this, and then I paint over it, like on the top of it. So this is the same page from this.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
This is the same page. And then this.
Nice.
Very nice.
So that's basically the process for everything, or every cover that I do, especially when it's watercolor. When it's ink, though, I usually just do this. This is the last. This is the last form.
Yeah, if I saw that cover, I'll pick it up. I'm like, whoa, there's a tiger and 3 people. What's up with this story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It's very engaging.
Yes, very engaging. Look at this. Okay, here's the.
And honestly, I feel like the only time I pick up issues is if like the art's really nice in the cover, because I only pick up issues to put them as decoration. I don't read them. Yeah. I only pick up collected. So that's perfect.
Right. And yeah, I actually saw the main one face to face, and it looks very good. Like so
yeah, the one. Yeah, this one is issue 3. I think this one is issue 2.
Ooh, I like this one.
That's good.
Yeah, we need that art book by you, Ariela.
No joke.
Yeah, like
Now
just
you have to
all
do it.
all the covers, like all of them.
I need to ask permission though from publisher if that's the case. Like, hey,
True.
I'm gonna make money from all the art that I do for you. Can I do that?
Yeah, I don't even know how that works. Because I know some artists just do that. Like Jenny Frison like releases books that she only sells like at cons, maybe online. That's just her covers, and it's like all of her variant covers. But if you're doing work for multiple publishers, I have no clue how that even works or how you can even do that.
You
I don't know.
you have to ask for their permissions, like written permissions.
Yeah.
Before you do anything, because it's a commercial work, right? You have to copy it for something that is their copyright. So
is it like a very easily, like, you know, do they stop you, or is usually just a matter of getting the permission, and most of the time they're pretty okay with it?
I have never tried it.
Okay.
So does it not seem worth it for you?
I'm probably gonna try it this year because like I've done enough cover that it's worth to like put them all together in a book. Because this one is 4 cover. The next one, the one with Lion Porch for Summit, it will be like another 4 cover. And insects, I did 13 of them, 14 with the trade paperback, and Matahari, I got 4 or 5 of them. So that's quite a lot, I think.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll buy it because
I'll buy it.
Yeah,
don't worry, you got 3 people here.
Yeah, unless you're gonna sell 3 copies.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Right. So, which, like, we talked about, like, working with different creators. So which one of the ones that you would love to work with? Like, is there any that you are like, at least once in my life career, I would love to work with this person?
I want to be in the same book as Bill Sienkiewicz for sure. It's like nobody's gonna look at my art the second they know Bill Sienkiewicz is on the book, but I don't care. I just want to be on the same book with him. And for writer, I think Bendis is definitely on my list.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Like, we should get you in touch with the DC folks. Like, you know, you will next
have those connections.
Yeah.
No.
Shut up.
If you have them on speed dial, get on it right now.
All right, hold on, Bendis.
We do have Mark Waid.
That's
You know, we do
That's
know
right.
Mark Waid. We talked with him recently, but he knows Bendis, and then he can because when Mark Waid was on our show, he did say something about him working to on a Superman, and then we can work something out there. Ariella.
We'll change all the lives. It'll be good.
Yeah, all lives.
Yeah, Mark Waid was Kristan's maid of honor, so
Yeah,
By weight of honor, really.
yeah, he was the weight of honor. Ah, that was fun. But anyway,
No, Mark Waid is humanoids, right? Now?
no, he's still doing Marvel. He's doing, I don't know. I think he's doing everything but DC.
I think he is doing everything though.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why there was a joke, because he's not doing anything with DC. So we're gonna get you in touch with Bendis, who signed an exclusive contract with DC. Yeah. Yeah.
He is doing humanoids though, because remember he loved Louisa.
Oh, that's true. He does love Louisa. Right. Well, yeah. So we'll talk about, you know. So Kristan, do you want to ask?
Oh yeah, I have to ask like my favorite question. I know you said you don't really read comics these days, but do you have like a top 5 of all time?
I got that question over here. Let me see.
Ariela's showing how the sausage is made for our show as well.
I would like number 17 and 18, please.
Yes,
we like to type out questions and then get distracted and ask other questions that aren't on the list.
Right. That's what we do. We dump all our question and then send it to the interviewee.
This is not an order at all.
I know, we're sorry.
I did tell you. I'm like, hey, these are the talking points. So we're just gonna start there and go with the flow.
That's fine.
But anyway, I'm glad to see that you were like, you know, like you're prepared with the written questions.
Your exam.
when you interview a non-English speaker people.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's completely fair.
Okay, my top 5 all the time. It's definitely Hiroshi Uno, Captain Kidd, because that's my first comic that I read, and I actually really want to draw like him. So I copy like each page, trying to draw like the way he drew a sword, the way he drew, like he has mermaid, he has ships, and he got all the magical things in that comic book. And I was like, I want to be like him. And then the second one's actually Daredevil End of Days. Any of you read that?
I have. Oh, who is it by?
Bendis with Klaus Jensen, Sienkiewicz too.
I definitely have
read
read that. I definitely have read that because I read the entire Bendis's run, but I can't quite put my name, put my, like, you know, my
Finger on it.
Which story it was.
That's my favorite because it ended after like issue 9, I think, or 10. It's like, yes, I can follow this one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You don't have to go on for years.
Yeah.
I can't do that years thing. I can't. Day Tripper.
I love Day Tripper.
I love it.
I love that one. Clover from Clamp.
Oh, nice.
Which one
That
is
one's-
that? I have no idea which one that is. So
So
enlighten.
Clamp is like this manga group in Japan, but I feel like I know Free you don't read read manga, but I feel like
You've
maybe
probably
you
seen
like
them,
Clamp.
at least.
I have to look into this.
It's a very distinct art style, and they have a lot of good stories. I think you'd like it.
And the other one that is my thing is Ashibe Yuho. Do you know her? Ashibe Yuho, Crystal Dragon. That book has like 25 tankobon, and it's not even finished. Like, it's still like, where's the rest of it? And then the publisher here just stopped, imported it. And I was like, I can't read Japanese. I cannot read the rest of it.
I hate when that happens.
But it's so good. It's so good. I think in my early years, people always tell me, it was like, you draw like Ashibe Yuho. I was like, I'll take it as a compliment. I'm okay with this. So,
Yeah, I've never read this. And I'm looking at the art now. I need to pick this up because this looks like the exact kind of shoujo dramatic manga that I would like.
Nice.
yeah, it I think it combines mythology and then fantasy world, and a good balance of it. It has action, it has romance in it. But especially I like the main character. She's such a badass.
Nice.
That's important.
I'm gonna look that up too.
Badass, yeah.
So are there any? I can't remember if we asked you this or not. Or we kind of talked about it, or are there any characters you wish you could do the art for? Like any characters you're like dying to really like be asked to be put on?
I really want to do an actual Wolverine because before I did X-23, but I really want to do just the Wolverine,
With muscles, a lot of it.
Like I said, like he's short and he's angry. I relate to that a lot. Like I'm short. And
Nice.
That's a thing that I can draw well. Like
Short and angry. Got
Short
it.
and angry. Yeah.
That's my criteria to draw comics. If you create a character that is short and angry, throw it to me.
A plus
I'll
done.
draw.
That with claws, and you're gonna. So what? I don't think I sent you this question. It's just something that I think about. Like I just thought about. What is like the easiest thing to draw and the hardest thing to draw for you? Like, you know, that you think. Because I remember one of the Instagram you talked about people drawing feet wrong, and that's really annoys you. So what is like the one thing that, you know, that is like a hardest for you?
Heels, it's my personal pet peeve when people draw heels wrong. Like
Heels.
heels, like when women wearing heels, and it's either like short and it's very unappealing. They don't want to look into like good heels. Like, why? It annoys me so much because I love shoes and I love heels. When I have to draw a character that's wearing like 3 outfit, like I actually look up like a lot of shoes and a lot of heels, like what type of shoe this character will be wearing. Like I need to know. But most people just like throwing feet, like, or hide them behind something. I was like, why? Why are you? Oh yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve. I think feet and hands. People say it's hard to draw, but I love drawing them because it conveys so much emotions.
Tell us more. How?
What's that?
That makes sense. We're all talking about hands. So.
How does hand show so much emotion? Tell us about that.
It's something that you do unconsciously. It's like when women, let's say women talking to a guy in a bar, you're not gonna do this all the time when you try to flirt with him. You're just gonna do this. You're gonna put your hair like that. It's just you're gonna touch your something that you think important or interesting from you on you, like.
It's more realistic to not hide hands behind everything.
It's like put it in the pocket because you don't want to draw fingers. It's like, what is that?
Have you ever talked with Paul what is it, Rob Liefeld? He's known about not drawing feet. I feel like you two of you should have a discussion.
We don't meet, like.
But anyway, so what is like the hardest for you to draw though? Like you one of your like, you know.
What's your foot, basically?
What's your foot?
What's your
Achilles heel?
Oh, that's good.
What's your heel, Ariella?
Nice. Two things. One is vehicles. Vehicles takes time to draw for me because I don't really pay attention to it really well. And the second, characters like Thanos or Galactus. Like if somebody came up to me in a convention, it's like, can you do me commissions? It's like I would just like if I have no other options, I will draw them. But it's hard for me because they're so bulky, you know, like just Colossus
bulky.
It's just Colossus is also annoying to draw, like all the lines and just, you know.
It's fair.
Yeah, I feel like now I need to commission you to draw like in one of the insect scene, but with Colossus, or however you say it, and Thanos, but in one of the insect scenes. Like, you know, just
why would you do that to her? Why?
Just to annoy you. That's all.
I would probably say no, you know.
She's gonna give you money not to do that, I think.
Oh, in that case. No, I actually kind of like that because I'm thinking about next year when I go to con to walk up to all the artists and ask them this question, because last year when we talked to Michael Cho, he went on a 15 minutes rant about horses and shopping mall. Because he's like, why people would want that? This is the hardest thing to draw. Apparently.
I like horses.
Oh, really? So he was saying that apparently they have this thing called horse off. Like bunch of his friends, artist friends, will get together and they will horse off to do the best horses, right? Draw the best horses, and no one ever comes close to doing a horse, because apparently it's a perception thing. Like it's a perceptive, to get the perceptive right of the four legs is apparently a thing. I don't know. I mean,
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I thought that was like a very like every artist have their heel, I guess, to say the least.
Yeah. Horses and buildings are actually okay with me. Like I love buildings, I love perspective so much. So I don't know. Vehicles takes time. It's gonna be annoying, but I can still draw it. It's just annoying.
I feel like now I need to commission you to draw a horse in a vehicle.
Inside the mall.
Inside the mall.
Cruel.
I will draw the mall first, and then the horses and the second, and then vehicle the last.
Nice. Perfect.
All right. Kristan,
do you have like a favorite, since we're talking about horses and malls and things that you don't like to draw, or people don't like to draw, do you have a favorite thing you like to draw? Like, is there one thing you're like, I always want to draw frogs. I always want to draw this.
Buildings, backgrounds. I always try to put backgrounds in a lot of my panels when they want, the consensus is we don't really need background in every panel. It's because obviously if they don't move around, don't need to move the background. But I will try to sneak in some, like a little bit.
Sneak in a tree or two.
Yeah, just a tree or something. I need background on this panel.
Nice.
So speaking of background, though, how does the background for you changes when the story is changed? Like, it's a different type of story, like, to set the mood. Like, let's say if you're doing a political drama versus a fantasy like insects, like, how do you vision that? Or it's just background always kind of, it's more constant for you?
Yeah, I think it really depends what is required in a script. Like, no matter what the genre is, like if this, let's say a riot happened in a riot happened in this huge government office or whatever, not a riot, like a mall or whatever happens. Like I will find like maybe 4 or 5 different photos about an open area when people rioting, and then a lot of people rioting, and just like put them together. It's like, how does this work? And sometimes what will help me is like if I find things like that on the internet, I crop them, put them in one panels to see how it plays out, and then I can picture my characters doing the same thing. So like, this from this angle, it's gonna look like this. From that angle, it's gonna look like that. So imagine that 2-dimensional thing it's a 3-dimensional. So that's how you move around a panel, how you move around a scene, sorry.
Wow.
For like fantasy drawing, for fantasy, photo references pretty much useless in a way that, like, unless it's drawing a horse or it's drawing a mountain, drawing a tree, like I want to keep them real, so I still have to look for photo references. But for the creatures, from everything else, then you go back to Insta stalking. Like, see what people do and how they approach it. It's not that you copy them, because that's wrong, but you can see what other people do to draw it, like how they take elements from different things and put it together to create a creature, for instance. Oh, this is how they do it. The horn from something else, the teeth is something else, the hand is from a mantis maybe, or I don't know, something like that. Exactly, just like insects.
So kind of going in a different direction, I feel like my other dimension voice is back. We have another dimensional me that talks back at some time. Annoys me. But anyway, it's just the feedback. But anyway, so one of the questions that we wanted to ask you is that how do you see that female characters being represented in comic books? Because we have seen that previously it was mostly drawn for male gaze, so to speak, like, with like otherworldly double F size boobs with 17-inch waist and like, I mean, I don't know, what is the next acceptable?
No feet, probably.
Yeah, no feet, like, tiny hands, like T-Rex hands.
Moves nicely, but no feet.
Yeah. And they're also doing impossible poses that would require rib cage to be removed. So as a female like artist, like how do you kind of, like, I don't think dealing is the word, but how do you see yourself, like, like what's your thought on those? Or do you think that there has been a change on this, since nowadays there is a lot more female creators out there than it was before?
Well, related to that, I have another question for you, because you read all these books. You probably read more books than I do this past 4 years, since I actually draw comics monthly. My question is, how many of those female creators are allowed to design a new character or redesign a characters, or are they just there to draw that, to draw characters that are already exist? How many of them?
Oh man, I never even thought about that question. Yeah. That's super good, because I've only ever thought about, like,
that's deep.
Who gets to work on what, and not so much like, are there women that get to decide who a new character for DC or Marvel would be? I don't know.
if all the female characters are just there to draw, nothing will change.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah. We're going to take
good.
that and use that in every episode from now on.
Right.
Wow.
That's great.
No, but
And
to
upsetting.
that point though, because that's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of ask you about the comic book process, like who gets to have what voice. Because if you're saying that it's mostly the editors who always set the tone, unless you have female editors or like diverse editors, is that going to change because everyone just trying to do the job, right?
I cannot speak for all female creators. Like I don't know if women or most female creators get this opportunity. Like I know I personally have never been asked to redesign a character that already exists. Like I never get asked to design X-23. Like I know Chris Anka did a redesign, or Kevin Wada did some redesign. I know Joel Jones did a redesign on Catwoman, right? But she's just one person. Like she cannot change the whole face of a female characters if it's just her doing one characters. I cannot speak for many others. Like probably there are more female artists get asked to do all this, but I don't know. Like I hope we get more opportunity to do all this though.
So what do you think the future is looking like for that? Like, you just said like it's just one person. So how do you change this? Like how do you move from that?
That is $1 million questions because like, hey, I am typically new. Like I am literally 4 years into this industry.
Right.
Like how long has this industry existed? And like, and then how long ago did we start talking about female creators in the industry? How long ago? Probably 5 years, 10 years. It's just not fast enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about it more. So I have hopes for now. Let's see. Let's revisit this question in the next 5 years. If the answer is still the same, then we know we have problems.
Or if we're still asking the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
There's problems. Yeah.
So
recently, like someone said, like in one of the work-related training thing that I was part of, like all the things that you have done to get yourself here will not work when you want to go to a different stage. You have to do something completely different to get yourself to a next stage. And I think that's kind of true for comic industry as well. Like everything that was done all this time, it's all great. It got us here. But in order for us to get to the next stage or next evolution, has to be something drastically done different to get there. How it happens, I mean, I guess like that's more out of our hands or out of our control in a way.
It's really unpredictable, especially with comics. I think, especially nowadays, a lot of variables come into play.
Sorry, Maddie, that I cut you off on Sarah.
Oh no, you're fine. I was realizing we were coming towards the end soon of our time, so I was wanting to kind of like ask you one more question. What's kind of coming up for you in the next like year or so, if you can talk about it? Like what's your next year looking like work-wise?
So let me see. Like I said, I got some covers from Lion Forge for a couple of issues, and then a trade paperback. I'm so grateful that they're having me. There are such great people over there. And I'm working on 2 graphic novels with 2 very talented writers that I cannot say much about right now.
I can't wait to see.
Deep tease.
And hopefully you will hear about the announcement soon enough. I can't say one is a young adult title, and then the other one is more political thriller. With a lot of with a lot of echoes in a modern day. So
okay,
we're all about that.
Yeah, we're all about echoes.
And lastly, there's this one project. It's probably more towards the end of 2019 or even early 2020. Like I'm working on a process to pitch another creator-owned fantasy adventure graphic novel with a very new, talented writer. It's also young adult, age like 8 to 14, 8 to 13 years old. So I'm excited about that one because that's totally different than what I've been doing this time.
Wait, the writer is 8 to 10 years old?
Oh, no. Market.
Oh, okay, God. I was like, whoa, that's a very young writer. I'm awake, guys. I'm awake. Please.
So what's the best way to keep up with you and your like what you're doing? Is it Instagram?
Instagram, mostly Instagram and Facebook. I don't do a lot of Twitter unless I retweet news about the stuff that is coming out or something like that.
Okay.
And you also going to be contributing to the Good Fight, the anthology series, correct? That's currently going on in the Kickstarter. So that's also something to kind of keep an eye on if you want to see Ariela's work. Yeah. All right. So is there any other questions from?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to sign you off, like, maybe one question, like, what advice would you give to all the young artists that are out there?
Wow. I don't know, just keep growing, and two, when people give you feedback, don't sulk.
That's very good. Like,
don't sulk, don't talk back, just listen.
But do you say that it's from anyone, or just like industry people?
This young artist came up to people that are professionals. It's like, oh hey, can I get a portfolio review? And then the professional artist gave them review, and they keep talking back. It's like, oh yeah, I did this because of that. I did this because of... Just shut up and listen what he has to say. Like, you're asking him for opinions. No, what are you doing? No, that's...
Yeah, well, okay. So that's something very, very important to know. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. You kind of gave us a lot of in-depth, information.
It blew our minds with a question to our question.
Yes.
We'll think about for the rest of our lives.
Yes. Not only that, you told us some dirty, dirty secrets before,
You're not supposed to talk about that. Don't talk about it.
Yeah, we can't talk about it. That shall always, forever be our secret. But thank you so much for joining us. Before we sign off, we usually try to do a pick of the week. It's something that we time to time do. So, Ariella, is there something that you have recently saw, read, watched, heard? Like, it can be songs to anything that you would say that people should check out.
I'm gonna shamelessly promote my friend's book, Jorge Coronas, with Scotty Young's Midwest. I hope I got the title right, but it's Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. You will not miss it. It's so good.
Nice.
Awesome. Kristan, what's your pick of the week?
I recently got into the Norwegian artist Jason. I don't know if you guys have read anything from him, but he has a long, long line of work. My friend Kyle Starks, he's an artist because of him. So I was like, I'm going to jump into this guy. So I read Hey Wait by Jason, and it hurt me real bad. It hurt my feelings. It hurt my heart. It made me so sad. But you should read it because it's upsetting.
What's the name of the book?
Hey Wait.
Hey Wait by Jason.
By Jason. That's it. No last name. Like Beyonce. Just Jason.
Listen, don't say that. That's blasphemous. No one is like Beyonce.
I mean, that's true. Just one word like Beyonce. One name.
Don't say it. Okay. Hey Wait by Jason.
Yeah.
Like Beyonce. Maddie, what's your pick of the week?
So I'm just going to promote my friend's book. I was going to talk about it again later this month. But Robin and Kat, my friend Alex, he is local to me in my town. He is the writer and the artist for this book. Robin and Kat, Falling in Like with You. And he's been releasing issues for the past 2 or 3 years. And he finally self-published his own trade. So
Cute.
I have an extra copy to give away. And I'm going to figure out how to do that this month. Probably like in a video. So keep an eye out. But it's about two girls falling in love. One is a shy video game nerd, and the other one works at a comic book store, and she's really into Japanese monsters like Godzilla. So it's cute.
Cool. Awesome. And my pick of the week would be Giant Days Volume 3 that I recently read. It's the story just
looks like this.
Yeah, it looks like that, whatever the Kristan is showing. And just look how popping the yellow is with the black.
It's so nice.
Yeah, just show us the spine.
Oh.
Like, see, you can actually see what's this about compared to the first two volume.
Yeah, we were complaining about this earlier.
Yeah, we can see
so
what
dull.
What the book is about, but now you can. So this kind of it covers the story from issue 17 to 24, and I have read the first two books about a couple of months ago, but as soon as I jumped back in, all the feelings came back, all the happiness came back. It just still continues to be the same.
Best.
Yeah, the best. And that was our pick of the week, a pick of the month last month, but if you can go ahead and still do it. Speaking of pick of the month, we are currently asking our viewers to pick something for us. So you can head over to our Instagram at fangirlzassemble.com. No, fangirlzassemble.com. At fangirlzassemble in Instagram, and write us a note which book you would like us to pick. Our pick of
the month will be 50% off on InStockTrades.com, our fabulous sponsor, where you can currently get an extra 3% off on DC books right now. That's their current sale, so check it out.
And you can get everything that, all this beautiful stuff that Ariella worked on there as well. Thank you so much for joining us once again, Ariella, and all the viewers, and have a good week. See ya.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.